Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show with me, Kavita Thapliyal. And when it comes to buying life insurance, most of us usually check the popular parameters and do not get into finer details. Now, these little details are usually the ones which can tell you how good has been the performance of your insurer over the years. Today on The Money Show, we will tell you some of the most important parameters that you must check before buying a life insurance plan. So, let's bring on board Mahavir Chopra, founder, Beshak.org. Mahavir, good evening and welcome to the show. And today we are going to help our viewers understand a checklist, for identifying the right kind of life insurer that they have. What goes into these detailings? Because a lot of time people end up checking the claim settlement ratio, but that can differ and that usually differs due to various reasons. So, is there a way that we can actually check how successful or how good an insurance provider is our insurer?
Right. So there are two aspects to this. One is things that the insurer does and the things that are in control of the insurer, right? And the second is basically things that are in your control. So whenever you're looking at buying insurance, these are the two things that you should basically look at. Measuring an insurer's performance, typically, like you rightly said, claim settlement ratio is one of the important ratios that people look at. But it's important to understand that it has major limitations, right? The ratio basically calculates how many claims were received by the insurer and how many claims the insurer settled, right? But it does not tell you a lot of other stuff that typically a customer would want to know. Like, for example, a customer would want to know that how soon an insurer is paying claims, or would want to know how good was the experience, right, when the claim was settled. Like, I can settle a claim in 30 days, but I can make life hell for the customer when for asking papers and do back and forth with the customer, right? So those kind of things can come into picture. How many complaints happened, right, during the during the tenure? Let's say if you're looking at a financial year, how many complaints happened over a number of claims? These are certain parameters that you should look at in addition to looking at claim settlement ratio. One more limitation that claim settlement ratio has, which I said, is that the number of claims. There is another way to look at it is also the amount of claims received versus the amount of claims paid, right? Specifically, this is important for people who are buying larger insurance policies, right? Someone who's buying, let's say, a 5 crore cover or a 3 crore cover, for them, it is also important to know whether larger claims were paid or not. So these are certain things that customers should look at. The other aspect is the customer side of the control that the customer should basically look at. And that, in my view, is something which is of even more primary importance than the insurer's performance, right? And what are these things? These are basically, one very important thing is that the customer, when he's buying the policy, should ensure that they are making the right declarations with the insurance company and go very diligent, be very, very detailed in giving those declarations. Don't be lazy in just signing forms and leaving the form filling with, let's say, your financial advisor or someone else. Ensure that you fill the form right, and you ensure that you give the details to the maximum possible that you can give to the best of your knowledge, like what insurance companies would tell you to do, right? If you do these things, if you are able to control your side of the story well, to a certain extent, your personal claim settlement ratio can be 100%, right? Instead of even if insurers claim settlement ratio is low, your claim settlement ratio can be 100% if you can take care of the things that are in your control well, which is primarily about declarations.
Right. So these are something that a customer or a policy holder should be taking care of. But then now, while selecting an insurance company, apart from claim settlement ratio, what else should be looked at in terms of services, in terms of offerings? What will be the checklist for that?
Right. So, like I said, the most important thing beyond claim settlement ratio, which is the number of claims, you should also look at the claim settlement ratio, which is the amount of the claim, which is basically the amount of claim that was received versus the amount of claims that were paid. That is one thing. Apart from that, there are a lot of other parameters that can be looked at. One of which is, let's
If you
say,
could, if you could explain through an example, what will be the ratio between claims made and claims settled? How can we understand that?
right. So, for example, if you're looking at a claim settlement ratio of 99%, what that means is that the insurer received 100 claims, valid claims, and it paid basically 99 out of them, right? and so it did not pay one claim. And similarly, if the claim settlement ratio is 95, that means insurer did not pay 5 claims and paid the remaining 95 claims, right? Similarly, in the amount side, it would be the amount of claims the insurer received. So, for example, if an insurer received 1,000 rupees worth of claim in a year and it paid off let's say 950 rupees worth of claim in a year, then the claim settlement ratio in amount will be 95%. So you should look at both of these things. Apart from that, you should also look at how soon an insurer is settling claims, and that is basically available in a format where insurers basically report to IRDA in terms of how many claims are outstanding beyond 30 days, right? So that gives you a certain understanding that how many percentage of claims an insurer is able to pay within the first 30 days, which is usually the mandate from the regulator, right? Another thing that you can look at is basically claims complaints. So insurers are also supposed to report how many complaints do they get per 10,000 claims that are basically submitted to them, right? So that is another thing. It's called complaints ratio. You can look at complaints ratio of an insurer also. It will give you insights in terms of how many people are aggrieved with an insurer per claim, right? That is another thing that you can look at. At Beshak, what we do is that we do another 2-3 studies, and we have a rating mechanism that we've done to solve for all these problems, specifically because we found that it's very difficult for a customer to be able to aggregate ratios for every customer, for every insurer, and then put it on a spreadsheet. We've created something where customers can actually look at this for free of cost on our website also.
One last question I want to understand, because we are talking about claim settlement ratio. How do we ensure, or how do we check that the insurance company we're talking about is actually fit in terms of their financials to pay off all these claims? So is it an important aspect to even consider before buying an insurance policy from that particular company?
Right. So, Kavita, the thing is that meaning all insurers, not most, sorry, all insurers are supposed to follow solvency norms that have been basically set by the regulator. And all insurers today are specifically monitored by the regulator for viability, for solvency on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So, it is not a matter of importance for a customer to look at viability of an insurer, because that through regulation is kept on check on a quarter-on-quarter basis. If any of such if anything happens with an insurer, and specifically it is having a viability issue or a solvency issue, the regulator will jump into action and ensure that these things are ironed out, right? So from a customer's point of view, worrying about solvency is something that is a very, very nuanced thing, which a customer may, even if he doesn't look at it, it will not make a major difference.
All right, that will be all. Thank you so much, Mahavir, for being on the show and helping our viewers in selecting the right insurance company for their life insurance policy. On that note, let's take a quick break, but then everything related to your financial portfolio will be discussed even after the break, so stay with us.